Philippine shares outperformed on Wednesday with the PSE index jumping 1.8% to close at 63.74 on pretty significant value turnover. Look at that, nearly 7 billion pesos. And that's despite net foreign selling of about 1/3 billion. Can we keep this momentum going? We want to bring in Sandra Araullo. She's Chief Investment Officer at ATR Asset Management. Sandra, hi, good to see you. Welcome back to Market Edge.
Good morning, Mimi. Good morning to your viewers.
Good morning. Good morning indeed. So far, the market is up over 3% for September. It seems like history won't be repeating itself this year, at least for the month. Because this year, it appears, we won't see a sloppy, messy end of the quarter, right? Why do you think so?
It's really hard to say, Mimi. It's been a head scratcher actually for us as professional managers as to why the Philippine equity market has continued to lag despite the earnings that our corporates have been able to deliver, the very deep discounts that we've seen, the stabilization at least on the monetary front, or the coming off of inflation from their highs. So I think it's more external factors that are weighing on market sentiment, and the reality is, in a global economy, market like the Philippines would tend to be shunned for more attractive options.
And right now we're not looking attractive, although we are outperforming, up, as I mentioned, 3.2% for the month so far, but we're still down for the year. So where do you see this market going? Where do you see the index going? We're at 6,300 yesterday. We're waiting for the opening numbers today. You've got the end of the third quarter and almost the beginning of the fourth quarter just around the corner. Are you expecting a bold run to the finish this year at least?
We'd be happy to see that, for the market to close the year at least with some upside, and to close that gap from where we think fair value is. We think fair value is at 8,100, Mimi. So, for the month at least, we think that we have some key macro numbers out in October to November. You have inflation and GDP growth, and then you have third quarter earnings season also coming online in the next week. So that should drive the market in the short term. Maybe the market will range between 6.2 to 6.5, or at least close the month after hitting that or kissing that 6,000 level. We were able to bounce back sharply. So I think there's enough momentum there to get us to close the month at respectable levels.
So this is, I assume, it sounds like you're expecting third quarter earnings to still show robust growth?
Well, it's actually important because we want to see how the past year of elevated inflation has affected corporate earnings. We've been in line from the past two reporting season. We're hitting our expectations for the corporates, but I think as we over time we should really see the impact of higher prices to the consumer, or how the borrowing costs have affected, or the higher borrowing costs have affected the corporate. So I think this is the period where a lot of analysts and a lot of professional investors are watching out for, to see how it will challenge the thesis that a lot of us had coming into the year.
All right. I wanted to bring in the opening numbers. We're about 2 minutes into trade for the day, and the index is down. The index seeing a bit of a correction. The market is down 0.4%, 27 points. We're at 63.47. The broader all shares also in the red, down by 1/5%. If you look at the sectors, everybody's in negative territory except for one, the industrial, which is up by 1/5. Among your losers, they're led by, let's see, the property sector, which is down 0.75%. Sandra, I'm very curious, because for those who watch the market closely, we'd all remember how value turnover shot up on Tuesday, Tuesday this week, when MPIC officially delisted. You can look at it as, half glass full, half glass empty. But for those who prefer to look at the silver lining, that's billions of pesos unlocked searching for new places to park their money. So where did the money go? Is it necessarily Bloom that replaced MPIC on the index or somewhere else?
Yeah, it's about at least from an index rebalancing standpoint, it's about 1.5 billion for MPI and AP. So the beneficiaries there from index standpoint have been Bloom and CNPF. We've seen price action on CNPF reflect this inflow, not necessarily for Bloom, but from a just that rebalance standpoint, we're seeing that the money flow and push prices up for CNPF.
What happens to AP? I wonder. That's the question on everyone's minds. We were all surprised by that off-cycle announcement from the PSE. What happens to avoid this power now, and how do you make sense? What do you think is the big picture goal here? The master plan for why they keep buying back their shares?
I think it's really them taking a proactive stance on how being a public or being publicly traded company is not reflective of the value of the company. So to a certain extent, they're doing something about the discount that's being ascribed to Philippine stocks as a whole by taking the initiative to buy back or to even let the float, the public float number drift lower. So I think it's really just again a proactive approach to doing something about the dislocated or the where the price of the stock is not reflective of the value of the company.
All right. Definitely names to watch. Just very quickly, Sandra, big, not really big, but a few of the corporate disclosures we have from this morning. This one is from DMCI, I think. Barong Nickel saying that they've completed 88% of their annual land preparation target within just 6 months. Essentially, the rehabilitation targets have been hit and have been exceeded. In general, are you liking mining companies at this point, whether it's growth prospect or valuation-wise?
Mining companies. Actually, we've been shying away from holding mining companies in our portfolios. And it's a function of what we've seen in the previous administration, even from a regulatory standpoint, the risk there has been not or has been a reason for us to shy away from holding mining stocks. But on the whole, we do think that commodity prices are also not giving us reasons to want to hold mining companies. So at least that's the view that we have on those exposures.
All right. How about energy? Here's one story. Vivant subsidiary Core Energy has just signed up for a 20-year power supply agreement with a renewable energy developer. When you look at energy, is the RE space still as attractive as it was 2-3 years ago, or has that been overstretched at this point?
Well, definitely yes. And I have to say, renewable energy is it's a theme that we think has legs behind it. It might come and go from a trendiness standpoint, but from a sustainability perspective, we think that there is compelling reason to continue investing in renewables.
All right. And finally, Philinvest Land disclosing this morning that they're dissolving 2 non-operating subsidiaries just to streamline corporate structure. Nothing big. They haven't been operating anyway. In the meantime, Sandra, I think we're ready for your blind item. Talk to us about the stock that you're monitoring closely and that you like. Don't tell us, just describe and leave our viewers to guess what this is. What do you have for us today?
Okay, so what I have for our top stock pick is a name that has continued recovery of pillar businesses. We think that it shows deep value for a key country proxy. In fact, we think there is a 75% upside relative to NAV And for at least the 2022 to 2024 3-year CAGR, we think it's going to be able to deliver 32% growth versus the broad market at 18% growth. So yeah, and then lastly, perhaps again, it's a very the bluest of the blue. So I think at this juncture, we also really think that proxies for the broad index for when the tide turns and we start to see foreign flows come in again, these are going to be the first beneficiaries of that.
All right, we're just going to have to guess which stock this is, the bluest of the blues. I think we're giving it away, but let's see. They usually tweet us, so do tweet us your guesses. In the meantime, Sandra, thank you so much for joining us and have a profitable week ahead.
Thank you, Mimi. Thank you, everyone.
All right.